And welcome back. I was just giving my wiring here a final once over to make sure everything was good, and it looks like everything's good. No breaks in the wiring, repeaters are all set, charges are all set, ready to go. So I'm ready to make this big bang. Boy, are you in for a surprise. Alright, as I mentioned in the last video, I've got this little setup here to try to keep the passive mobs out of here. Oh, that's right, I have to go get a pressure plate. Alright. Take a moment here and get a pressure plate. I should have had that with me. A little thing about being prepared and all that. But not a big deal. But I've gotten that big bang is all set to go. There is 3 stacks of TNT all set up. And it's all rigged to go off at the same time when I climb up on the tower and drop something onto the pressure plate, which will power the ignition circuit. Alright. Okay. Going to, let's see. Drop the pressure plate there. And now I'm going up for a high view. And let's see. I guess that's about the best view I'm going to get. It's a shame I can't turn my render distance up any higher, because it would be spectacular. So what I've got here is, I believe it's just under 3 stacks of TNT, all set to go off at the same time. So now I'm going to just drop something on that pressure plate. Well, it looks like part of it didn't explode, but that might just be it hasn't updated yet. So let's go have a look. Let's see here. A little bit more of a drop than I figured. Yes, this is looking pretty good. Very much building on this whole surface of the moon decor thing. And it looks like it did all go off all the way back to the border. And I'd say about 15 or 20 blocks wide in the widest point. And a good 150 blocks long. Definitely a pretty good explosion. Like I said, it's a shame I couldn't set my render distance any higher. Well, there's the edge wall, so it came pretty close. Very good. And if you'll recall from my last video, one of the things I was talking about that I had done was I was experimenting around, and I hit on this idea of building one of these pillars and then extending an arm off the end of it, off the top of it, and along that arm every 4 blocks set up a TNT charge, and then come back along the length of that arm setting those charges off. Kind of a bombing run, so to speak. And then it occurred to me that that could be done so much better. And thus, the setup you see here. It's the same basic idea. However, I've added some redstone circuitry to it to automate the process. Basically, along each of these arms is a block of TNT every 4 blocks. On top of the actual arm itself is a line of redstone with a repeater just before each block of TNT after the first one. The repeaters are all set to maximum delay. So once I hit the switch to activate it and it starts to go, there will be a block of TNT dropping every 4 ticks for a grand total of 8 stacks of TNT. This little arrangement covers an area that is almost 150 blocks square. Not quite. And that wide gap in there, that's because that part is over an area that had already been blasted. So I just kind of went around it. So, all I have to do is hit the switch. The signal translates upward through the redstone torches, and then it will go through a series of 5 repeaters set at maximum delay to give me time to get up to the top before it starts to set things off, or at least before very much of it goes off. And this other arm here is just simply for observation so that I can go along the length of it as these charges go. So, let's give this a shot. This one I call the bombing run. And go. Okay, it's already starting to go off. The downside is that because it's so long, the explosions on the far end, you can't see them or hear them because they're so far away. But you can see as the charges become active and they fall, and you can follow it with the as the repeaters light up. It really is a shame that I don't have a higher render distance. Here it comes around again. I do believe this is going to do an excellent job of clearing out a large percentage of the grass in this area. Definitely. The part of it that I can see is looking like it's been very effective. Let's see, it's coming around again. Excellent. Some serious redecorating going on here. And as you can see, there's the part where the bombing run had already been done. The initial ones that I did manually. This is doing a very good job. I may need to drop a few extra charges on some places from the looks of some of the dirt down there that hasn't been blown away, but Then again, it may simply have not updated all the way yet. And now it's coming around for the last run. Good grief. All of that, and that last charge didn't go off. Well, I'll have to get up there and set that one off manually, but all in all, it looks like this thing has done pretty good. I'm going to head back over to the shack and grab some daylight, and then we'll do an inspection tour to see how bad this turned out. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is turn that redstone circuit off, because this is major lag going on here. Of course, it will take as long to turn off as it did to turn on, but that's all right. All right. Let's head to the shack before some jealous creeper comes along. Serious lag here, but given how many explosions have just gone off and how much terrain has just changed, I would not be surprised. Actually, I'd be surprised if there wasn't lag right now. All right. I'm going to wait for this lag to lay off, and I'll catch you at dawn. All right. We've got some daylight now, and I think the worst of the lag is over with. So let's go on a little inspection tour here. And frankly, I think the easiest way to do that is just going to be to get up on top of this thing and do a little walk around. I had this idea sometime Friday morning, fairly early, and I started working on it. And I think I spent most of Friday working on this, and all of Friday night, and into about 3 o'clock on Saturday morning. A very labor-intensive effort, but look at the results. Such excellent devastation. Yes, there is areas that need to be hit again, and I'll take care of that. Now, granted, I was going to keep the rest of my blasting work for off-camera, but this was such a big job that I figured there would be no sense in not sharing this. And then, of course, there was the Big Bang over there that I had already said I was going to do that one on camera. You know, there's a funny story about the Big Bang. As I was getting it set up, some of the blasting that I was doing before that, actually, before I was getting it set up, that's right. I was working over in there and setting individual charges, hitting them with the lighter and moving on, getting out of the way, let that blast go, and then do the next one. Well, I had what you have to call an absolutely genuine Wile E. Coyote moment. Due to my own klutziness, and it's all you can call it, is absolute pure D klutziness. I set a charge, and then I hit the charge, and then I moved in the wrong direction and found myself standing on it while it was flashing. Too deep in the hole, unfortunately, which means I could not jump out. So I was trying to jump out anyway, trying to jump out and shovel out a block so that I could run at the same time. I did finally get a block shoveled out and was able to get out of the hole. And I started to run. And I think I made it about 2 steps and it went off. No, 1 step. And I know that because I was close enough to it that it not only killed me, but it destroyed most of what I had in my inventory as well. Definitely a Wile E. Coyote moment if ever I heard of one. And that's about the size of that. I'm going to have a bunch of cleanup work down here to get areas that didn't get taken care of. And then there's the task of tearing all this down. There's 8 stacks of repeaters up there, and I think in the neighborhood of 24 stacks of redstone dust. I'm going to want to try to recover as much of that as I can. So it's going to take almost as long to tear it down as it did to set it up. But on the other hand, it was most worthwhile. It is annoying that that last charge didn't go off. Anyway, I'll save the cleanup and tear down of this mess for off-camera time. In the meantime, I'm going to start gathering together some materials and at least get the main platform for the passive mop system built and the whole project actually started. And the rest of my blasting will be off-camera. Alright. Stop in here and grab some cobblestone. That's probably more than enough, I know. Alright. Okay, here's our center position. Each of these 4 blocks is in one of the 4 areas that meet at this spot. So, let's see. Alright. Let's make the cobblestone. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to want that about, I think 35 blocks tall would be good. There. Now I'll know that it'll be 35 blocks. Alright. I have just this moment figured out one thing that I should have done that I didn't do. And that is arranged for this to have ladders coming up the side of it. And so I'm going to have to tear it back down and go get some ladders and do it right this time. Alright. Have ladder access. And now I'm going to put a little something here to help me find exactly which side and where the ladder is and so on. And begin to have a little bit of a floor here. Alright, now, if I recall correctly, this is 9 by 13 from pretty much from here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And now 13 this way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 9 by 13. And then we do the same thing on the opposite sides. All right. All right. Now it's just a matter of filling some flooring. Alright. Took me a while and a little bit of false starts and having to redo parts of it because I had some of the dimensions a little bit wrong. And now I'm going to get an outer wall put up on this thing in the spirit of not falling off of it. Which reminds me, that big scaffolding with all the TNT on it, would you believe I actually got that thing done with only falling off of it once? I'm impressed. Usually I fall off of something like that several times. I recall when I was building the big mob tower, I must have fallen off the thing 6 or 7 times, various different heights during the construction. And I don't know, I guess maybe I'm getting a little better with the shift key. Yep. Okay, I'm going to get this wall finished up here. And then I think that's going to be about it for this episode. It's getting a little bit on the long side, and more to the point, it's getting a little bit on the 5:30 in the morning side. So I'm going to go ahead and put this sucker to bed. And next time up, we'll get some dirt up here and start work on some spawning pads and get the water system figured out, and so on and so forth. And just remember, the entertainment tonight in the form of various explosions is brought to you by your friendly neighborhood mop grinder. Remember, save the mop grinder. Tweet, email, and so on. The hashtag STMG. And maybe we can prevent that unwanted change from happening. Take it easy. I'm out of here.